Hi, welcome to Art You Crazy, the podcast that flips the script on the struggling artist paradigm.
We're your hosts, Tessie Errasti
and Erin Elizabeth Reed.
Two artistic multi-hyphenates who believe that every person is creative.
And every creative should pursue their passions. Each episode,
we shine a light on our and others' creative journeys along the pathway to personal success.
If living a life of creative purpose sounds daring, then yeah, you could call us crazy.
We embrace it.
And we want to know, aren't you crazy too? No, seriously.
'Cause we are. Welcome to Art You Crazy. We are here today with an amazing guest, Jillian Schecher. She lives in Canada. She is just such an amazing human being. I got the opportunity to take a few of her classes. She is the author of The Joy Method. She's the creator of the Daily Joy Journal, which actually changed my life. And actually, I gave one for Christmas to Erin.
It's true. I am in the process of being life changed.
Actually, wow.
Jillian, you're also a joy and mindfulness coach.
Yeah, I get to do joy shit. My job is joy. It's the best job in the world. I feel like because it's so fun, I can sometimes tend to overwork. I talk a lot about joy and what it means, through all of my research and experience. It's always different for everyone. But for me, I feel like, it is an inner experience. Joy is really like alignment with however you want to feel, what your values are, and what you're here to do in this lifetime. I feel like that's the best way for me to describe it. And then also knowing that joy is who we are by nature. So often it's like, what can we let fall away instead of all of the striving and like hustling and forcing in our lives? What if you were to let go what's not working and make more room for like the fuck yeses?
Ooh, so wow, that resonates so deeply with me. A little bit of my backstory. I was working a corporate job as an attorney and had to come back to what brought me joy, which led me ultimately into leaving all of that behind and entering a life as a multi-hyphenate creative. Can you tell us more about coming back to your joy, how that showed up for you?
Yeah, I can. And celebrating you for your alignment. I love it. I love these stories. Like, you're definitely my people. It's like, we are conditioned to believe that we need to do certain things in order to achieve success in quotations. And then I feel like for everyone that I work with, it's you get to a certain point in your life. It's like we spend a lifetime almost getting away from ourselves. And then you hit this point where you realize nothing you thought was going to make you happy is making you happy. And then I think it's kind of this like unraveling, true remembering of who we really are. So I celebrate that you've been on this path and that you really, really get it. So for me, I've always been joyful. I love laughing. I love being crazy, just like you guys. But, there were places when I look back where I can see where I left joy by the side of the road. And so for me, I spent a lot of my youth and childhood I was in an alcoholic home, and which was a very loving home, by the way. Like, alcoholics are also awesome. And, I just like to say that because it's like, oh, you're painting this big, dark story. No, like I had a good childhood. My parents loved me. It wasn't like I was lacking, but, just like everyone else, there was addiction. So I was very codependent. I spent a lot of time making sure everyone around me was okay for me to feel that sense of safety. And that kind of led into just a lot of people pleasing, a lot of getting away from myself. And when I was in my early 30s, I lost my father to a heart attack, and it really just exploded my life. I feel like I wasn't able to really cope with it at the time. And instead, I kind of went into my conditioning of like, just go make sure everyone else is okay. And so that led to a huge drinking problem over time to where I was like blacking out every single night. And I remember waking up in the morning and looking at my husband to see like what I had done or if I had crossed the line or like to see what had happened. It was wild. 8 years ago, I had what I call my 3 dark nights of the soul. And it was really like a homecoming back to myself. And it was from that point that I started truly living. I reclaimed my joy. What that required for me was to start to feel, because I was numbing all of the pain. And what I didn't realize at the time was Brene Brown says we can't selectively numb. So I was numbing the pain, but I was also numbing the joy. And so from that moment forward is really like, I would say my joy walk. And it's how I'm here with you, like doing what I do in the world by walking the walk and practicing joy, because I believe so deeply, like it's not a destination. It's who we are, but it requires us to make the space to remember it every single day.
You said a lot of things that connect with me because I mean, you know me a little. You know that I've always had this soft spot for the darkness.
The shadow.
For the shadow. I remember the meetings with the group and when I was taking classes with Jillian, everybody's like, I am so happy and this happened to me. And I found this and I'm like, well, I'm in the depths of the shadows. I'm burning. My soul is disintegrating in despair. And they were so nice to me because like, okay, well, you can leave your feelings. And as much as you can pull to the dark side or to the light side, if you don't allow yourself to feel everything, to feel all your feelings, then you're not really being true to yourself. Allowing yourself to feel.
Most people in it are struggling with feeling the shitty feelings. And this is why I say joy work is shadow work. I love your ability to dive into the depths of the shadows. There's a lot of people who aren't willing to do it. And I feel like it's what holds us back. The truth is, all of the feelings are informants. They're not good or bad. They are what we're here to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a little wooey. In a soul level, we chose to come here at a fucked up time. Let's be honest. We're all badass joy warriors as far as I'm concerned. But it's like, our souls chose to come here to experience the human realm, which means that we get to feel the feelings. When you feel like shit, your high self is like, shit, like, we want to have that earthly, very human experience. So joy does not mean like, oh, I'm happy all the time, like laughing. Yes, it can be fun and boisterous and buoyant, right? But it's also the depths of the soul level that is true joy. And it's a deep level, rooted, very grounded experience. And it requires us to feel all of the feelings, not just the good one. And know that that's part of why we are here. All of us, I feel, in a human form are seeking for things to feel good and, be comfortable. But comfort will kill us. Comfort actually keeps us small and stuck and stagnant. We are here to thrive and to meet those edges and walk the edges of discomfort to get to the other side over and over again. Right. So it's why I call this path like the path of the joy warrior, because it requires us to be like, I'm fucking doing it. I hate it. To even see the places where I am in resistance and move myself through it. Have the courage to do what, Erin has done. It is rough, but it's purposeful, right? And it's like you are on this quest and you're trusting and you're creating magic and you're making these connections. And again, it's like the soul is like, we're doing it.
The more you cry, the more I rejoice.
Not sitting at home, eating fucking ketchup chips, watching Netflix at a job you hate every single day. For what? We're here to really lead a new way, I feel.
So one thing that stuck out to me, you said it, but I also noticed it on your website, was about teaching people how to feel. And it struck me because Tessie and I are both actors, and it just struck me the parallel about what the actor's job is, not just learn how to feel, which is a scary thing, but to feel and channel it in service of the audience's ability to feel, to open up, to experience, to imagine what it might be like to take another act or walk in another person's shoes, to empathize is what I'm getting at. I don't know if there's a question in there. I was just struck at the parallel between the work that you do as a teacher and a coach and what we attempt to do.
As you were speaking, I'm like, so what I teach is joy requires compassion. Be compassionate with ourselves, knowing that we are doing our best and that we are walking this walk, and it's not good here to look pretty and perfect, but it also requires curiosity and playfulness. So it's like, where can I invite in that lightness? And I feel curiosity allows in that lightness a little bit. But I think what's even more important, and I think it's where all of us meet, is in this ability to really be able to hold ourselves in our shadow and our light, so that we may do the same for others. And I think this is your gift as actors. You allow people to feel and to see themselves in other people's shoes, which I feel will heal the world, literally.
I firmly believe in that.
It's such a, as you say, it's transcendental thing from the soul of wanting to maybe find the next level of connection or people that can get you out of that comfort zone and push you forward in alignment. Heal the world.
I heard magical.
I'd like to circle back when you were speaking about your 3 dark nights of the soul. And I know that's an abridged version and we don't have to get into the weeds here, but I feel As if some people, when we hear great, inspiring, transformational stories, we only get the short version of the I was here and then I leapt here. And I feel like, at least in my experience, my leap, my transformation really required a bunch of tiny, small actions. Can you speak to that, perhaps?
Oh my God, I sure can. I love it. Also, I was like, snot bubbles. That's what I heard. Snot bubbles. Like, it's so not pretty. These transformations aren't pretty necessarily, but they're beautiful when it comes to the life that we get to live. So for me, essentially what happened up to the breaking point or the breakthrough, whatever you want to call it, was just accelerated addiction, where I was just drinking so heavily. I was working at a job that was very toxic. I started day drinking because I was remote. Thank God I was not drinking through the Rona. That would have been ugly, but I feel like it just picked up speed. And then, I was going away for a weekend to celebrate and just get away with a girlfriend. And it was supposed to be like a relaxing self-care weekend. And it was absolute debauchery. And so that was like the 3 dark nights. Like I got so sick that I literally could not leave the bed for 3 days. It was like massive flu, but I look back, I'm like, oh, it was spiritual flu now because like I met the depths of my soul those days. And it allowed me to like absolutely shift my entire life. Like, are you going to continue to choose this? Because to me, the end result of that was death, harming another to the point of like, just like fucking up my whole life. Right. So that was where the shift was. But then the path, that like my joy journey was really like a journey of reclamation, which again is not pretty. It's like putting the pieces back together. The biggest thing for me was the atonement piece. And I was reading Marianne Williamson's book, The Law of Divine Compensation, and that book saved me. There's pieces in there on guilt and shame and atoning. And it's why I feel so strongly about this now. Like I could literally sit with anyone who's done anything in the world and offer compassion. I believe that there is actually a turning point available for everyone. I do see the light in people, like just the natural light in people. And if we're able to take the learning and apply it, I believe that everything is actually an opportunity for growth. And it's not that like everything happens for a reason. You can't say that to certain people in certain situations. Our humanness can't fucking handle that it's for a reason when you're in complete trauma, terror, horror, right? And that when we use these experiences, what I call contrast, the shit you would never choose, as an opportunity for growth, it allows us to shift everything around it. And it allows us to experience, I would say, the soul evolution, the soul growth available through these things. So for me, it was atoning for all the places that I fucked up and meeting myself and God. And not like religious God, but, me and Jesus were tight. I'm not religious, but it's like this experience of pure love that I feel like was actually connection to my highest self, where I felt washed of my, like, not sins. Ew, I've never even used that word. Why did I say that? That's crazy. That's crazy. I said the word sin. But transgressions, those places where you would have done differently if you could have, and is what allowed me to literally move forward. Because I was raised Catholic till I was 9. So there was a lot of guilt. I love the ability for all of us to live our paths, again, with compassion and curiosity and respect for each other, and also be able to do what's right for ourselves. But point was, it was a homecoming. That's what it felt like, a homecoming back to pure love, like to who I truly was. The truth is, the joy method was stemmed out of all of this, but it was me walking this walk that created it, right? So I didn't think, what's step 1 to feeling better? I was just like, holy shit, this sucks so bad. It wasn't even about the drinking, I realized. It was about the numbing and then all of the feelings that started to come in. So uncomfortable. And then it was the realization that I'd set up my life to make everyone around me comfortable, meanwhile, just suffer.
Yeah.
You forgot yourself.
Yours?
Yeah. And that's why also I said, like, I'm done drinking down everyone else's comfort. Literally, it's like the pendulum swung. Instead of people pleasing, it was like I turned into this fuck no person, and my whole family was scared of me. I remember my mom saying, like, who are you? And I was like, I'm who I've always been, like, this is who I really am. But you just didn't know it because I've spent my life tiptoeing around you. And so people felt like I was a stranger, whereas I was like, holy, this is awesome. I'm meeting myself. But that was really uncomfortable. I went through a few years of a lot of turbulence with family and loved ones. And it was like needing to walk the edges of keeping others comfortable, really beginning to be willing to hold myself and risk the disapproval of others. To have people calling me hypocrite and like all these other things, because I was talking joy, but from this place of embodiment, which means joy doesn't mean that I make you happy.
Oh, so powerful.
There's a difference, I think, between making yourself happy and what I think our Western culture calls selfishness. Like,
Yes.
it doesn't mean that you actively harm others or put yourself first in a way that disallows other people's joy, but it's about holding your own boundaries, the containers of your joy, because nobody else is going to hold them for you.
Yeah.
You've got to hold them yourself.
You got to know when to hold them.
Right.
When to walk away.
Yeah, I still feel like I'm still going through that, finding the balance between my own boundaries and expressing them without unleashing all of the anger. There's a lot of frustration and anger. I'm not saying that I'm a saint and that I'm a victim, but I feel like whenever I encounter people, I try to offer my best self, my kindest self.
Mhm.
And sometimes people show you just their demons. I always, put a barrier and say, it's okay, they're not doing anything to me. So the attacks are like the darts are already entering my skin and everything. And I still say, it's okay. It's all good. When inside it's like, I want to grab your neck and twist it and get rid of your head and then eat your How to find that balance? I'm still in that journey. Those turbulent times, I feel like I'm still there.
Yeah. It's funny because step one is the feeling or feelings, and it's feeling all of the feelings. And I wonder, not to coach you live, but it's really coming up loudly right now is like, what are you disowning? If you actually sat with your anger, if you felt it when you felt it and made room for it, would it come out in that way? So is it like kind of repressed? Is it like it is actually coming up in the moment and it's your fire? Because fire can be so transformative. It can be destructive, but it's also transformative. So it's like how to use that fire in a way that serves, right?
Yeah, I feel like the past weeks have been a transformation for me in many ways. And I use that fire, all that anger, into transforming it into work. It's not going to be to burn someone else. It's going to be to fuel my own path, my own journey, the things that I have to understand about myself. Instead of giving them power over me and victimizing, I'm going to use it. But sometimes it feels like such a lonely road. You're like, oh my God, is there anybody that I could tell all this anger that I'm holding that will not look at me with the eyes of, you should be happy, you should be grateful. Oh my God, with that little grain of judgment of saying, why don't you look at the positive side? I do look at the positive side. There's a lot of layers happening at the same time. So I feel like in our society, we have formatted ourselves with that instant gratification and like all the time being, yay, everything needs to be in control and comfort and everything. And everything else is just so banned. People look at you like, are you the witch of the forest? And I'm like, yes, you want to try my potion? It's the transformation journey.
And I agree that there's a lot of spiritual bypassing going on. Like I'm the gratitude lady and I get fucking mad. I make room for all the feelings because this is how we actually experience joy. It's not a false energy, right? If I've got all this repression and I'm pushing the joy, you're going to tell. It's not going to feel authentic. But when it comes from this deep place where I can say, I can feel rage and joy as well. It gets to be both. I know I've gone through life. I've experienced grief and joy at the same time. The allowance of that energy, because everything is energy. Our feelings are energy in motion. So if we can just sit and allow them to flow through us, then you get to the other side of them instead of pushing it away or holding on to it and allowing it to drag us down.
Vibrancy is what is coming through for me. A vibrant living being that fully experiences their existence.
And the radiator just farted. The radiator went like...
Guess we farted. Joy win.
Something that's come up in my world recently a few times is a particular app that's meant to help you record emotions, your feelings during the day. It gives you adjectives, at least 100 to choose from. But when you click on the adjective, it actually gives you like a simplified definition so that you can understand if that's really how you're feeling in that moment.
I love it. You got to tell me the name of that. I actually have a list of when we start working together so that they can choose, because we always start with like, what are your, like, describe how you're feeling in 2 words. Because also what I think our feelings require is to be acknowledged. If we can start to see the root causes, we can start to heal them. Then it's like we get to actually experience more neutrality. And what I'm really interested in, I call myself a joy wizard too, by the way. I don't know if you knew this, Tessie, but yeah, it's my new title. I always say our focus is a magic wand. So I gave this lady I've been using very graphic. So imagine this is a stick. Every subject is a stick. Okay. It's what's going on right now that sucks in your life and it's covered in shit. And there's flies on it. Okay. The other stick, it's a magic wand and it's what we want instead. So the contrast, the thing that's not going well is here not to stop us, hurt us, harm us. It's here to show us where to revision. It's like there's all these moving pieces, but that ability to really befriend the emotions, to get to know them, to articulate them, to get curious, like, what is this feeling? How would I describe this feeling? And then what is it here to show me?
Oh my, so good. God, I want to talk to Jillian so much. I'm going to send you a little hat so that you can start wearing the wizard hat.
As long as it's not aluminum foil.
The thing you say about numbing and the way you were so self-aware to allow you to understand that and transcend it with the difficulties that you were having, that is just so powerful to me, because most of the time it's just running around with the problem itself. As you say, you could have focused on the alcohol being the problem, but you chose to see, why am I using this tool or this thing for what? What it is really behind. And I feel like that requires an incredible amount of courage, incredible amount of vulnerability to do. And just, yeah, it's just so inspiring to me. And I love that you keep sharing that. Please always share that.
Well, thank you. And honestly, I still have the desire to numb. I just use different things. And I feel like, sobriety to me, because I've been sharing it, kind of studying it through experience, we might think it's related to a substance, but to me, sobriety is the courage to feel. So what are we numbing with? Like, is it scrolling? Is it sugar? Is it sex or shopping or gambling? Like, is it drugs? Is it weed? Is it booze? We all have these coping tools. So, I even teach building a joy habit to really see, like, what are we relying on right now? And is it working? Because to me, once you can open up the awareness of, is this actually serving you? What is the experience you're seeking? And often it's like, we're seeking to feel better. But is the tool that we're using actually supporting us and feeling better? Often not, because what will happen when we're disconnecting is we will experience shame in some form or another. So I feel like, honestly, it is a practice. It is a daily practice, sometimes 3 times a day. Like when shit hits a fan, which it does, because life is just not perfect. We're not here to have like a perfect experience. We're actually here to grow.
Life isn't here to be perfect. It's here to help us grow. Banner.
T-shirt.
Wizard hat.
With aluminum foil.
After sticker.
You're right.
Aluminium.
I love it.
Oh, Jillian, thank you so much for your time and for bringing yourself and your energy. You're one of the most fantastic people I've ever met. And thank you for being you. And how can we find you on socials?
So I'm Jillian Schecher, Schecher, which could be pronounced in very many different ways. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah, and I'm happy to connect and just jam on joy. Like, I feel so blessed to be here with you both. Erin, hearing your story as well today was really inspiring. I'm like, yeah, that's amazing. That ability to relinquish the things that we think are here to make us happy, but just don't. That's courage.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And something that I found is sitting in discomfort long enough until you're ready to be honest with yourself is the hard part. And then once you are, the rest flows much more easily.
Yeah, you get the ease.
Hey, I'm sure you loved this episode. Before you go, here are 3 ways you can help us keep things crazy.
You could just leave us a rating or share this episode so more people can access this content. Easy peasy, right?
Feeling ultra crazy?
Donate to the show by clicking the link provided in the podcast description or on our Instagram's bio.
I'm sure you will.
Stay crazy out there, y'all.
Stay crazy!